We have a few other questions that were sent in about Mid-South from this time, but I want to ask you, the dog did that timber fall often whenever he got really laid out hard. When DiBiase would hit him with the glove, the dog did a timber fall. I mean, it was always what he did. You mentioned he may or may not have been chemically altered. We all know about, where the dog would end up and how things would change for him. And he lost a physique. He had issues with drugs. He was bigger, obviously, and Watts covered it up in commentary, but were there already whispers or talks in Mid-South when you were there about the dog having any issues?
Well, no, everybody knew that they weren't really whispering about it. He actually sometimes would joke about it himself. I mean, as far as what he had done the night before or what things he had done or whatever. But the dog was still the guy. He was still the man. He was still the one they were all coming to see. So it's not like anybody was dog. We wish dog wasn't on the card. No, everybody was glad dog was on the card because he was drawing. But he was, it was starting to become obvious that he was not in the same shape he used to be.
And Watts covered it up by saying that the dog was bulking up.
Yeah.
I mean, it was genius.
Dog's bulking up or dog doesn't get paid by the hour because if the match on TV is longer than 2 minutes, it's going to fucking suck.
Like I said, we have a few other questions about Mid-South from this time. They're from Johnny A. in Texas. He has several questions. First, late 83, early 84, JYD was the North American champion, but never came to the ring with the belt. How come?
I was not aware of that, to be perfectly honest with you. I don't know why.
When they made the new North American title, did you pick it up? I mean, I always hear how heavy it was. Did you ever get a chance to?
Oh, that was a rib. We all went in and looked at it and mooned over it and everything, but it was so big. Magnum was 6'3", and when he wore it, it went from his nipples to his dick. It was the biggest belt and heaviest belt, and I'm trying to think, would that have been when they were making a new belt at the time? And that's why Dog didn't wear it or whatever? I don't know. That was just before we got there. But I mean, I didn't study the whole belt wearing situation, but I can't figure out why he wouldn't have.
That may have been it. Was anything said, though? I mean, did Watts say, give me the biggest belt anyone has ever had? Or how did that belt get made?
I know. It came in the locker room and everybody said, hey, well, you see the new belt? And we looked at it and I'm going to go up and ask, excuse me, Mr. Watts, why'd you make this fucking thing so big?
Yeah, I mean, it got to the point where no one could wear it. They had to carry it over their shoulder to the ring.
I think when they put it on Brad Armstrong, I think it was a rib. He was like, fuck, this fucking thing weighs more than I do.
Second question, you tarred and feathered Magnum TA. Not the last time you would do that to someone. How hard was it to get guys to get that shit off afterwards?
Oh, it was a fucking pain in the ass. When they tarred and feathered me in, in Hammond, Louisiana, because we had a last stampede in every one of the major regular cities, right? But we also had one in Hammond, Louisiana, where there's a big college and they had an arena there seated like fucking 5,000 or 6,000 people. And they needed a different stipulation besides put me in a diaper and drink from a baby bottle or put me in a fucking pink dress. So they said, we're going to tar and feather you. And goddamn Dog took that K-Rose syrup and stuck it down the front of my shorts and squirted it all around. And nobody told me you should shave everything first, right? Just to make it easy. Just everything. And then he's stuffing handfuls of the feathers down the front of my fucking pants and everything. But it just takes for just hot water and just stand there and just wipe and scrub and wash and pick and but God, I can't remember how many we tarred and feathered Magnum, we tarred and feathered Ricky in Smoky Mountain. We tarred and feathered. Who'd we tar and feather in WCW? I know we tarred and feathered somebody, or Crockett rather, but it's old as the hills anyway. Literally, we don't actually use tar, which was the original recipe. We use K-Rose syrup or molasses, which gets the point across very well.
And the final part of Johnny A's question: is it pronounced suplex or supplé? Bill Watts always confused me with that.
Actually, the real story on this, as I have gathered, and correct me if I'm wrong, Brian, because I know you will since you know everything, but it actually is pronounced supplé, but it's spelled suplex. So Gordon Soley was the only one who actually did the fucking research, or the first one at least, do the research with the amateur wrestling community, etc., to find out that it should be pronounced suplex. So he would always say suplex. But all the other wrestling announcers had first seen the word written down as suplex, and therefore the common pro wrestling pronunciation became suplex. Did I about cover it?
Yeah, I think that's about it.
There you go. Both are correct. Can you see Lance Rosenberg and Lawler with a vertical suplex? It just wouldn't